All right, welcome everyone. Today we're going to have Danielle Meister out of our Utah office share a little bit about a concept called sequence of returns. It might not be something you've heard of before, but it certainly does play a role in what you're doing. So thanks for joining me, Danielle. Go ahead and explain, why does sequence of returns matter to people?
Yeah, so sequence of returns is really important for retirees. As a high level summary, sequence of returns doesn't matter as much as you're in the growth phase of life. And if you have 5, 10, 20, 30 years ahead of you, the order in which the returns of the market happen doesn't impact the portfolio. However, when you start taking income, as most retirees will at some point, whether it's from an IRA as forced distributions because of required minimum distributions by the IRS, or you need the income maybe to pay bills or go on vacations, whatever it might be. When you start taking money out of those accounts, we want to pay much more careful attention to the order in which the returns are happening, because it can tremendously impact the portfolio and its value over time.
So let me get this right. If you don't take any money out, this is not going to apply anything to you because it doesn't matter at all where the returns go. But if you're going to use this specific account to withdraw money from, now we have something to talk about.
Precisely.
Okay, I
Yes.
got it. I got it.
Yeah, let me show you. Can I pull up a graph?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay. So let's take a look at an actual example. This is a 30-year time period demonstrating how sequence of returns works for an all equity portfolio. Now, just imagine an all equity portfolio for the purpose of this example. It's not what we recommend in real life.
Okay.
Uh, not all of the time for all retirees. So we have two different scenarios here. There's 30-year time periods, and it's somebody starting with $1 million. Let's say they put it into the S&P 500, they don't touch it again for 30 years. What I want you to notice is up here at the top, scenario one is -9, -12, -22. If you come down, it's just been perfectly flip-flopped in the second scenario. So -9, -12, -22 are in the last 30 year, 29, 28.
All right. So just
years
reverse
again.
orders.
Just flipping it.
Okay.
Got it?
Mm-hmm.
So lo and behold, $1 million quadruples and becomes $4 million.
Regardless of
$1
the order of the
million
return.
becomes $4 million regardless of the
Okay, that
order of the
makes sense.
returns.
All right, I got it.
Okay. It doesn't even matter. So, except I've got an exception for you.
Okay.
It does matter when you start taking withdrawals. And it doesn't matter
Oh.
if you're taking withdrawals because you're going on, vacations, or maybe you're just using it to cover expenses. Some people will
So
say, well, I'm never
lifestyle
going to
expenses.
lifestyle expenses, or other
Yeah.
people will say, I'm never going to dip into my IRA accounts. I'm going to leave it for my kids. Well, Uncle Sam's going to come knocking and tell you you've got required minimum distributions. You might not even get to choose. You might be forced to take these distributions out.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's important that we're talking about this. So let's go to the exact same scenario and let's start pulling 4% out per year, adjusting for inflation.
Okay.
Okay. So let's take a little bit of income out. It's in the center portfolio. It starts at $40,000 a year and it works its way up again because of inflation. So let's look at scenario one. We've got $1 million. Okay. Well, gosh, I just showed you an example of this portfolio going up 4x.
Yeah.
But let's just say now you're taking out your RMD over time. And at the end of this scenario, it's -$651,000. What was
That's
no big deal
significantly
before,
difference. That's almost 5 million difference, right?
now you're going back and you're getting a job as a greeter at Walmart at 85 years old because
Yeah.
you ran out of money.
That's a great thought.
Now you might get lucky and you might get the other scenario,
Hmm.
right? You might get scenario two where you start with $1 million and the first couple of years are extremely positive. This could be like, the 10-year run that we had after the great financial recession. And the portfolio does exceptionally well, and you end up with $1.5 million after taking withdrawals all along.
Oh, that's a big difference.
We just don't know. The stock market is not designed to be a cash flow asset. It doesn't solve for cash flow and it doesn't solve for security. It's really good at growth, as we saw in the previous
Yeah,
example, right? It's really good at growth and liquidity, but again, not a cash flow tool. So if you're just trying to grow your assets, leave it alone. Maybe it's a non-qualified asset. You're not going to have forced distributions. You're leaving it for your heirs. Fine. We'll put it in the stock market and let it ride. But
right.
that's not why most people are coming to us and coming to Madrona.
That makes a lot of sense. So I'm going to summarize it to make sure I got it in my terms. If I just have an account where I want the money to accumulate indefinitely, this doesn't apply. It doesn't matter what the market does. But if I'm pulling money out of a specific account, the sequence of returns do matter. And I need to be mindful of how I position my plan and my money to make sure that I'm not, I guess, compromising myself by pulling money out of an account that's going the wrong direction.
Yeah, and it's interesting because like you've got it, you hit the nail on the head. And most of our clients that are coming to us for a stay rich strategy, not a get rich strategy. And in the stay rich strategy, they'll almost always tell us that their primary objectives are cash flow and security. They want
Mm,
growth as well, right? So they want all three. They want growth, security, and cash flow. But when I tell them to put it in order, they'll typically put cash flow and security first when
okay.
they're moving into retirement. And what's interesting is most of those people will also come to us with a purely stock bond portfolio.
Right, right.
And so there's a mismatch between what somebody wants and what they're truly in because they're trying to use an all equity or maybe an equity stock and bond portfolio to be a cash flow security goal objective. And so again, there's a mismatch. And what we try to do is help adjust the holdings or maybe the assets that are held within the account so that we don't end up in a situation like this.
And in our next video, I'm going to ask Danielle to cover the 567. So in the 567, you will kind of unzip a little bit of why you don't have a single investment that does all of the things you want it to do. And that's why prioritizing it, having the right questions asked you about your priority and lifestyle planning become very, very important. Did I get that right?
That's right.
Good. All right, you guys, we're going to see you in the next video. Danielle's going to queue up another set of slides for you. So thanks so much for listening. Really appreciate it. And we'll see you on the next one.